Live from the House of LeMay Makeup and Dressing Room.
Here comes Amber. Stop what you're doing. Here comes Amber. She's just doing what she can. Here comes Amber. Cue the spotlight. Here comes Amber with 2 drinks in her hand. The matriarch of fashion, sequins to her glasses, you can't look away. Ask her, does she do it? There's really nothing to it. She's got that feminine yay. If you have a party, or if you're feeling naughty, call up the House of LeMay. Here comes your favorite gal. Here comes your queen. Here comes the talk of the town. And we're live tonight. The music starts playing. It's time for cabareting. And we're live tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please turn off all cell phones and get ready for your host, Amber LeMay.
It's happening all over. In Arizona, Republican candidate for governor Kari Lake tweeted, "They kicked God out of schools and welcomed the drag queens. They took down our flag and replaced it with a rainbow. Let's bring back the basics. God, guns, and glory." Who would you rather have in your child's classroom? Oklahoma youth pastor and school principal Cody Barlow, who was arrested on complaints of child assault, or a drag queen? What's Lindsay to do? The Supreme Court has rejected Lindsey Graham's request to block the Georgia grand jury subpoena. Now Lindsay Bell is faced with a groundbreaking decision. What to wear to the deposition? Scarlett O'Hara's hoop skirt dress from Gone with the Wind? Or Carol Burnett's curtain rod knockoff? What would you wear? What a hypocrite! Arizona Republican candidate for governor Kari Lake said they kicked God out of schools and welcomed the drag queens. Do you know who else welcomed the drag queens? Miss Lake at one of her birthday parties. She once said, "Half of what I learned about makeup, I learned from watching friends like Barbara Seville." So I have to ask, who would you rather vote for? A hypocrite like Kari Lake or the drag queens who gave her makeup tips? Amber LeMay here, founder of the League of Drag Queen Voters. It's that time of year, so we want you to go in that voting booth, pull that curtain, and do what comes naturally. Don't blow it. Vote! Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Amber Live. But first, I want you to like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. All right. And if you haven't already, go out and vote. Anyway, what do leather bars, flag burnings, and candy corn have in common? They're all a part of this week's news briefs. Believe it or not, I've been to a few gay leather bars, and what I know from my experiences there is anything goes. Well, that was tested last week at Chicago's infamous leather bar, Touche, when, as part of their 45th anniversary celebration, puppeteer Jerry Halliday had people walking out and employees quitting. Things were going well until Halliday, who is white, pulled out a black puppet that he introduced as Sister Girl. It only went downhill from there as Sister Girl made jokes about welfare, watermelon, names of black children, and you don't want to know about the Brillo pad. Bartender Chris Blow said that because his chosen family includes people of color and trans women, he was getting extremely uncomfortable in the space while many in the audience cheered. Blow quit on the spot. Halliday's website and YouTube page appear to have been scrubbed of references to Sister Girl. Multiple leather organizations have canceled their support and acknowledgement of Touche and have vowed not to support it with events. The bar has since called a community listening session. We'll see how that goes. A year ago, a ban to display the pride flag in Newburgh schools of Yamhill County, Oregon, went into effect. Recently, a judge in that county ruled that the ban was unconstitutional. Last week, a masked person approached the home of a school employee, lit their pride flag on fire, and performed a Nazi salute. After declaring this act as a hate crime, the school district released a statement saying, "We are shocked and saddened to hear that such a horrendous act took place in our community. The act of invading someone's private property to burn a flag is abhorrent and alarming. Agreed. Now, Halloween was last week, and you wouldn't be alone if you were disappointed in getting some candy corn as a treat. According to candystore.com, when it comes to candy corn, it's a nasty trick. So, how would you entice someone to consume the confection composed of sugar, corn syrup, salt, gelatin, oil, honey, dextrose, confectioner's glaze, and coloring agents? Well, you rebrand it and put it in God's hands. That's what the folks at scripturecandy.com have done by introducing Jesus Harvest Seeds. With a motto, Jesus, the sweetest name I know. The harvest seeds come in small packages, each with 17 seeds, and here's the selling point, a reading from Scripture on each package. All I can hear are dentists shouting, "Hallelujah!" And that's this week's news briefs. Hey, Russell, come on in.
Hey, Amber, how are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. How's your week going? Did you vote?
Oh, not yet. I go early in the morning on voting election day, and I go in person. I like to do that and say hello, and just it feels more official if I do it in person.
I get that, but I decided this time to go vote early, so it's done and out of the way for me.
But you still have to listen to the commercials.
Trying to avoid them.
And the weather has been so great, too. I mean, we've had 70 degrees this weekend in Burlington, Vermont, the first weekend of November.
And that's why I went and voted, because I was like, it's beautiful. I'm going for a walk. And it was, I don't know, it was quite a walk over to where the early polling place was. So I'm like, might as well go.
All right, Russell, I'm sure we have some new viewers this week. So tell them the best way to watch the show.
I'm sure we do too. And the best way to watch Amber Live is on YouTube. And that's because on YouTube, you get to see Amber in full HD, and all of your friends are there in the chat room. So you can chat with them. You can chat with us. You can send us messages. It's just a lot more fun over on YouTube. So that's youtube.com/Amber Live. And I want to remind everyone that we've got a great TikTok channel, an Instagram account, Facebook, and even our website, amberlive.tv, that this week we'll be launching our new website. So be sure to check that out. And if you can't watch Amber, you can always go listen to Amber and the Amber Live interviews. On Tuesdays, I take the interview from the last weekend, I cut it out and turn it into a podcast. So you can go hear Amber interview our guests. And those are a lot of fun if you're driving to work or doing something that you can't watch, but you want to listen. That's a great way to hear everything that Amber's got to say, or at least part of what Amber's got to say anyway.
Yeah, you can listen. You can listen. And also, with all that work that we put into this, and there's some electronic stuff that we need to buy as well, how can people help with that?
Well, there is a great way to help, and that's by becoming a bustier. And we love our bustiers because they have really helped us keep going through these 3 seasons that we've been doing this. And we want to thank our super bustiers, our regular bustiers. You guys are so important. So please, any amount will help. You can give $5, $10, whatever it is, a monthly donation if you would like. Use that Venmo at RJD Pro to send us your donation, or you can use your credit card at amberlive.tv. Just look for the support Amber Live button. And if you give $25 or more, I will send you a sticker of our logo. For $100 or more, you'll get a sticker and a magnet. And for $200 or more, a sticker, magnet, and mug. And again, use that Venmo at RJD Pro. And honestly, now is the time to get those gift items, because it's all about to change. If you look in the upper right corner, you'll see our new logo. So you want to get the old ones, and then you can get the new ones later on, because it's all with the new website. We're getting a whole new look going here, and it's more modern, more sleek, and it makes Amber look good.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. And this is the month of giving thanks. So if you feel thankful that you get to see us every week, Drop us some coin.
Yeah, we're thankful you're here. So help us out, please. Thanks.
All right, Russell. Now, who do we have on the show tonight?
Oh my goodness, do we have an interesting show tonight? So coming up later on, we've got our good friend Duane Scott Cerny. But first, our guest is Brad Gosse. And Brad has made a huge name for himself on the internet through TikTok and Instagram, and I think YouTube as well, writing children's books for adults. So they're a little racy, a little different. So if you've got kids, please put them to bed. You don't want them watching this necessarily. I mean, depending on the age of your kids. But Brad is very funny. He's a comedian with a dark sense of humor, and it's a great interview. So
we were fortunate to talk to him last week. So we recorded the interview, and let's start that interview right now.
Who's ready for story time? My name is Brad Gosse, and I write children's books, but I have to self-publish them because they keep getting rejected. Today I'm going to read Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe, Setting Boundaries with Adults. Mom's OnlyFans, New Beginnings from Difficult Choices. Rich kids, they're better than you. Cinnamon, a horse forced into the sex trade. I write books for children. Many of them have been banned by TikTok. I'm going to show you some of my newest books, and you get to guess which two I'm not allowed to read on TikTok anymore. Uncle Bob Can't Wait to Show Me His Knob, Gluck Gluck 9000, Star Horse, My Racist Dog, Sweatshop Kids Make Everything You Own, Mike Hunt Smells Like Fish, or Buster the Perverted Ghost.
I don't know. We'll have to find out which ones were not allowed on TikTok. Brad Gosse, come into my basement. That could be the name of your next book. I go into Amber's basement.
You're in my basement. I'm in your basement. So,
all right. Let's have some fun. All right, Brad. That's amazing. Those books that you actually publish. I mean, you can buy those books. How did you get started with that?
I used to have a company called Vector Tunes. It was a clip art, graphic design company.
Yeah.
And one day I was making some Facebook ads, I've always had a weird sense of humor. So I made an ad for the business that said, you can do anything with Vector Tunes, even make children's books. And it was one of the covers of one of the book ideas that I had. And the ad did okay, but my friends thought it was hilarious, and I had a lot of fun making this cover. No, I didn't write a book. I hadn't done anything else but a cover, and I had so much fun with it. I spent a weekend making 100 covers because I'm really proficient in graphic design, and so I was like, oh, I'll just make these covers up. This is kind of fun. Here's a bunch of book ideas that never made it, kind of thing. And so I self-published that book in I guess it was about 3.5 years ago, and it was just covers. There was no, it was just every page was another book idea, and it did okay. It didn't do extremely well. I maybe sold a couple hundred copies of that book, and then about 6 months later, I was on TikTok. My kids told me about TikTok, and I started making comedy TikToks just for fun on the side, and they weren't doing that well. And then one day I just went on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I have these old ideas. Let me try one of these on TikTok. So I said, my name's Brad Gosse. I write books for children, but my publisher always rejects them. What do you think of this book title? And then it was like, Why Daddy Hits Mommy, a kid's guide to understanding alcoholism. And that video got like 1 million views or 1.5 million views on TikTok. And I started reading the comments, and most of the comments were asking me to read the book. Why can't you read this book to us? Well, I hadn't written any of the actual pages. And so I was, sitting in my living room watching TV one day, and I said to myself, well, I could write this. I mean, it's not hard to write a Dr. Seuss style children's book about an alcoholic father who beats his wife. No. These things happen every day. So I thought, let's write something. So I wrote it. And I didn't illustrate pages. I didn't publish anything. I just wrote a poem, basically, right? And then I held up the cover of the book with the poem on the back, and I read it on TikTok, and that got like 1.5 million views. And the comments were all the same. Why can't you show us the pages? And so that's when it clicked. I'm like, okay, I need to illustrate this book. And before I do the next step, I'm going to publish it, self-publish it on Amazon so that I can say you can buy it at the end. So then I ordered a copy. I illustrated it with clip art, ordered a copy, read it on TikTok, and the book started selling.
And what was that book? That was the
Why Daddy Hits Mommy. Yeah. And so that book did fairly well. And that, like, from that moment, I understood the assignment, right? The assignment was make all 100 of these books, publish them all, read them all, and see what happens. And so that's been the last 3 years of my life. That's basically what I've been doing, is publishing. I'm at 123 or something now. And it just, that became the formula.
So do you have a board of advisors? I see a bunch of 12-year-old boys sitting around giving you ideas.
Yeah. It's interesting. My fan base is interesting. My fan base is kind of, teenage boys, middle-aged women, like divorced middle-aged women. Those are the kind of the two pockets that seem to have hit for some reason. And of course, everywhere in between, there's lots of other, people who love it, but that's kind of the two pockets of my demographic are teenage boys and middle-aged women.
Well, why the middle-aged women? That's interesting.
Look at this face.
You got me swooning. That's for sure.
Like, so, I think I don't know. I think I must resonate somehow. And so I chalk it up to my good looks.
Before you had the clip art business, what did you do?
I've been an entrepreneur since I was 24, mostly online. So I've done everything from, adult entertainment to graphic design.
Adult entertainment. What? Yeah. Tell me more.
My first 10 years in business, I was in the adult entertainment business online. So that was from
that was pre OnlyFans.
Yeah, that was like 1998 to 2008.
What was your title, or what was your name?
Webmaster. I wasn't I was just like behind the scenes.
Oh,
yeah. But just publishing, it's publishing websites, that type of a thing. I've always been ever since I was in my 20s, I realized, that was back when the internet was still, we weren't sure, in the 90s, we weren't sure if it was going to be a thing. We were like, if this thing sticks, it's going to be great. So I always knew that I wanted to work from home at my desk, in my basement and not have to, punch in a clock or go to a cubicle. And so that's what I've always done.
Give me some other titles of your books.
Sure, I got a little stack here I can show you. Sweatshop Kids Make Everything You Own.
Well, that's true. That's in the nonfiction segment, I think, of the library.
Help Me, Stepbro. My Racist Dog Only Trusts Whites. Mom Runs Trains on the Weekend with Dad's Friends. Buster the Perverted Ghost. My Big Black Hawk.
Yes. For animal lovers.
Smells Like Fish.
I've heard that.
And Dad's a Cuck.
How, from concept of the I'm sure the title comes first, that so to speak.
Yeah.
And how long does it take you to write the book and put it together and get it on Amazon?
About an hour. So if I have the art, I don't draw, so the art is done by I have a cartoonist who works for me full time. But the first maybe 50 books I illustrated with clip art from my existing company. So I didn't actually have to, I just had to find, like Frankenstein together a couple cartoons. So even when it was that, it took about an hour from title and idea to upload it to Amazon, waiting for approval. Approval takes about 24 hours. So from, if I publish a book today on Amazon, upload it to Amazon, it'll be live on their website tomorrow.
What have there been titles where Amazon says, no, thank you?
They've never rejected a book in the publishing phase, but I did have one book banned by Amazon.
And that was?
It was called You're Going to Camp Coronavirus Because You Didn't Wash Your Hands. And what happened was, Amber, I published this book in like it was January, before all the lockdowns came, before all the craziness happened, right? It was still just a thing that was happening in Wuhan, China, and not many people were fearful. But my girlfriend at the time, she's my wife now, but at the time she was very, very concerned about it, and she was watching the news about it and kind of stuck to the story. And I remember thinking, if she's concerned about this, I should pay more attention to it. She's a smart person. I trust her judgment. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a book about this, because it's in the news every night. So that's always a hot thing if it's in the news. And so I wrote the book, published it, and it started selling really well. And then when March came and the lockdowns came, if you went on, there was a point where if you went on Amazon and you typed in coronavirus, my book was the very first product to be and there weren't that many products, right? But a lot of the products were, hand sanitizers, things people were trying to use to convince you to buy. And so Amazon did a full sweep, and they just said every product with this in the name is gone. And I fell into that kind of blanket. It's kind of like it's like the publishing equivalent of stop and frisk. It was just like, take it all down. And so they took everything down, including this book. And at the time they took it down, it was selling a lot of copies every day, because everybody was searching for this thing. And then they found my book. So Amazon just didn't want to be caught up in any misinformation stuff. They were protecting their own ass, and I get that. So they took it down. And so what I did was I put it in PDF format, and I just gave it away. I said, hey, come to my website, give me your email address. Still today, you can go to bradgosse.com and get the book for free. Just because, I wanted to keep it going, and I wanted to kind of build a little buzz around it. And then shortly thereafter, Amazon stopped shipping books, because during the early days of the pandemic, when we were, the first sort of 2 weeks, Amazon was only people delivering groceries. And so they prioritized essential products over non-essential products. And so all my books got kind of pushed to the back of the line in terms of, people weren't even ordering books because they knew they couldn't get them. So there was kind of a lull in my growth during that time. I even considered quitting, doing this, because I was like, oh man, I'm not selling any books right now. My bestseller just got pulled. Why am I bothering with this? And it took a couple months before book sales bounced back.
Well, Brad, we're going to take a short break here, but when we come back, I want you to read me one of your stories, okay?
Right. Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back with Brad Gosse. There's more of Brad's interview coming up, but first, I want to talk to Russell. Russell, come on in.
Hey, my goodness, Brad makes me laugh. I kind of have to hide my laughter sometimes. But
oh, well, we thought last week's show made me blush. This one, I'm blushing a little bit too.
Yeah, he's definitely edgy, and that's why he gets a lot of complaints, I think. But
what else do we have coming up in the show tonight?
We have so much more to come. We've got a great experience with Duane Scott Cerny. He's going to introduce us to some things in your attic that I think you've been hiding since you were a child, Amber. And then we've got a whole second half to our interview with Brad, and we have Rocco and Bug and Shug, of course.
All right. Well, let's get back to it right now.
Yes. Well, I do want to say before we get back to it, don't forget, if you'd like to become a Boostia, use that Venmo at RJD Pro to help us out. And that's very important to keep us going. Thank you, Boostiers. And now here's more with Brad.
All right, Brad. So tell me a story.
All right. The story we're going to read today is called My Racist Dog Only Trusts Whites. Oh, and there's a theme song for every book.
Oh, I was going to ask about music. Great.
My racist dog only trusts the whites.
Doctor, please help my little dog, Jack. He only likes whites, and that is a fact.
Oh.
When we go outside, he barks at the blacks. He barks at the browns and the Indians too. He barks at the mailman. I think he's a Jew. The answer is simple. It's in your dog's ear. Jack hears your heart. He knows that you fear. Asian peeps, brown peeps, and black people too. Your dog isn't racist. The problem is you, my racist dog.
Oh my! How fascinating the turn there.
A lot of my books have an interesting twist.
Very, very good. Because you're thinking, okay, he's really going for it, and then, oh, isn't that nice? I learned something. Now, the song. Now, if I buy the book, how do I hear that song? Or
if you buy the book, you don't get the song. The song is kind of just used for videos and reactions, and kind of, when I'm presenting the book on in a video, the song will be. It's sort of a surprise, like nobody expects the song, right? So it's kind of fun.
Okay, where do you go from here?
I don't know. It's one of those things where I keep thinking I'll graduate from doing books, but then I'm selling a lot of books, and I thought maybe I couldn't get to 100, but I did, and now I'm thinking maybe it's 1,000 books. I don't know. So I do stand-up comedy. I do other things. If you're watching Adult Swim, call your boy, let's make a deal. That kind of a thing would be nice. Netflix special would be nice. Netflix, if you're watching, I'm here, I'm ready for you. I got a whole hour. I'm also working on a half-hour TV show type thing for YouTube, which would basically be, so my brand of comedy is kind of like, it's done in a children's style, but for adults. And so and I joke about this, but it's kind of true. I really think there's a space in entertainment that's not been properly manipulated. And the space is, making content for people who are high. And so that's I think that's my jam. If you're high, you're probably watching my stuff. And so I'm doing this like Mr. Rogers style kind of show just for people who are, high.
Well, you should definitely aim towards Vermont. I think that you should have a big audience.
Same here in Canada, right? I mean, we ever since we legalized marijuana, it's been everybody's high all the time. I mean, you smell it everywhere you go. The whole city of Toronto is in a fog of marijuana haze.
It's about time.
And so those are my peeps.
Where do you do your stand-up?
All over. I do it in Toronto mostly. But again, if you have a comedy club, I will get on a plane and I will come to you and I will entertain your people.
We have a great comedy club here in Burlington, Vermont, the Vermont Comedy Club. It's comedians who come through there say it's one of the nicest ones they've ever performed in. And also the people who own it are really good people as well. So nice. You might want to check out the Vermont Comedy Club.
Yeah, I love doing stand-up. I love it.
We started off the interview showing a clip, and you said 2 of your titles were not allowed on TikTok. Which ones were those? My
Racist Dog, the one I just showed you. It's okay on YouTube, but it's not allowed on TikTok. And I'll tell you why. And then the other one in that pile, what was the other one in that pile that was not allowed on TikTok? I'm trying to remember what the books were. Can't remember what the other one was now. No, I don't remember which one it was. What were the books in that group?
Mike Hunt, Black Hawk.
Those are okay.
Those are okay.
Yeah, those were okay.
Mommy Pulling Trains, I believe.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that was okay.
Playing with Trains or something.
What was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was. There's two in that list that they've banned. Oh, Star Whores was the other one. Star
Oh,
Whores.
really?
Yeah. So TikTok is very they have the strictest community guidelines. The funny thing is that, you know, I have a series of books called Dead Babies, and every page is just another dead baby and how they died. And those are okay. TikTok doesn't like it when you talk about race, and they don't like it when you talk about, and it's specific things. So I can show my racist dog. I can show the cover of the book. But what I can't show is the dog actually being racist. So when I say, you know, because I'm speaking from the guy's perspective, right? So when I say the blacks and the browns, that's kind of like, you know, now it's like not cool to say blacks, right? You have to say black people. So by saying those kinds of phrases, that will trigger the community guidelines violations. And so that one, and then Star Whores was taken out because, now keep in mind, Star Whores is basically just a whole bunch of alien hookers. Every page is a different hooker, you know, with a different name. And I looked at all the Star Wars names and I kind of, you know, played with those styles. One of them I said might be underage.
Oh.
Now keep in mind, it's an alien, a cartoon alien, and we don't even know what the age of consent is for an alien that I made up.
I don't
right
know.
But because I said underage and whore kind of in the same context, it got silenced. And that it's funny, me reading that book, they didn't take it down, but they muted it. So I could show the pages. I'm showing the pages. You just can't hear what I'm saying, which is kind of funny. So yeah, it was those two books. So they have, you know, they have very strict rules about certain types of conversations they don't want you to talk about. And when you fall in that category, that's it. It's taken out.
Other than TikTok, and has anyone else objected to your work?
Every day someone objects to my work. Amber, I get called a groomer and a pedophile hourly. And I'm constantly I constantly see comments of people saying it's only a matter of time before the libtards and the blah blah blahs and this is going to be on Drag Queen Story Hour, and you know it's the people who watch, you know, way too much news, and one story, you know, just set them off, and that's their narrative for the rest of their life. But yeah, you know, it's funny because I in my stand-up I have a joke about groomers. You know, I talk about grooming in my stand-up, and I joke about how you know, the first time someone called me a groomer, I didn't even know what it meant. I had to Google it because I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I realized a groomer is someone who befriends a child but doesn't actually, you know, do anything to them until they become of legal age. So I always joke about how grooming is the pedophile long game. And you know, but people say it because they don't process the joke, and so they hear children's book, and then they see me saying things about Black Hawks, and then they're like, "Oh my God, this guy's a pedophile. He's trying to indoctrinate my children into his lifestyle." And you know, they just like the outrage in our society right now, like the outrage, like everybody's addicted to outrage porn.
Oh.
And they create it themselves. They find something that sets them off and they just lose their minds, you know? So yeah, I mean, I would say, you know, so I have two pockets of demographic. I have teenage boys and middle-aged women. I also have two pockets of demographic that absolutely hate me, and it's teenage girls and middle-aged men. Figure that one out. Right? Middle-aged men hate my stuff. They're just like, you are a monster. And teenage white girls love to get offended on behalf of people of color and say your stuff is racist. But when I read my books, like when I read My Racist Dog in a comedy club, it's the black people laughing the loudest. When I read my books about race, it's the white people that get offended because they don't know how to process that. There's so much taboo in our world right now that when you say something that has been traditionally, you know, taboo, people are like, wait a minute, you're not allowed to say that. And I need to get upset. And I'm not sure why, but I'm getting upset because I think I need to stand up for other people. And so, the 14-year-old girls, white girls hate my stuff. Not all of them, but a good percentage of them do. And they feel that they need to get offended on behalf of others who aren't offended.
Well, I don't know about, maybe it says something about the company I keep, but the middle-aged men that I hang around, they would find your humor very entertaining.
Same with the middle-aged men I hang around. But there is a pocket of middle-aged men who get very angry very easily.
Wow. Fascinating work. Thank you so much, Brad Gosse, for joining us tonight. And I can't wait to read some more of your books. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber.
Just a few weeks ago, the Beaver Pond Players presented their annual Leaf Peepin' Cider Sippin' Review. Here's a clip from that show.
That's my cue. Proud to be here from Beaver Pond, a hot damn trailer park. I'm the reigning queen of Beaver Pond, prettiest one by far. When I first came up to Beaver Pond, looking for a place to live, all those folks there in Beaver Pond sure were happy to give. Beaver Pond, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Beaver Pond in BT. It is a proud place to be. And folks don't visit us in Beaver Pond, roads too muddy by car. That's why all us folks in Beaver Pond have to travel afar. But once I met a guy in Beaver Pond, half fair, the other half cat. Wild as a meat, sweet as soda pop, I still dream about that. Beaver Pond, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Beaver Pond in BT. It is a proud place to be. Woo! All I know is it's a pretty life, can't be simple again. Beaver Pond, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Beaver Pond in BT. It is a proud place to be. Beaver Pond in BT. Those pipes are a little rusty.
It said I know that song.
Thank you. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce to you someone that we haven't seen very much of in Beaver Pond. Of course. No. And since the pandemic, she decided to stay here in Burlington. So here she is. Here she is, whether you like her or not. My cousin, Amber LeMay.
Keeping with tonight's theme about books, Duane Scott Cerny found some interesting ones up in my attic.
What's in your attic?
Okay, Duane Scott Cerny, what do you have for me this week?
Well, I thought today we should look at vintage children's books and do something. This first one's going to be a little serious but very timely, and then something a little lighter. So the
Okay.
first one we're going to show you, hit it, Russell, is Meet Abraham Lincoln. Now take a good look at that picture, because it's a bit prophetic given the fact the rifle goes through his head. Notice that? Yeah. So we're getting this ready for the kids already, that this is not going to have a happy ending. Now, this was written in 1965 and actually was pulled together in 1964. And to think about it, wow, they were going to do a book about Lincoln and the assassination right on the heels of the Kennedy assassination. So kind of interesting. And though this is a kid's book and no sentence is really more than 5 or 6 words long, they cover his life. It's a biography of Lincoln. And wow, think about what an interesting life that was and what it meant to the country and what it has to encompass. So slavery, you're teaching children about slavery. Like, hello, yeah, slavery really happened and it wasn't a choice. Yeah, this is just so timely. I actually enjoyed reading this book. And
it probably wouldn't be allowed in some schools today.
Exactly, because it's true. Yeah. No fake news here. It was and then just how they addressed just the horror of the war again to children, and just how, I mean, it really states that, you know, there would be 2 countries now if it wasn't for Abraham Lincoln. It was just saying that's not the way it's going to go, you know. So
now, who published this book? Was it a part of a series?
No, this actually it wasn't part of the series. I take it back. Yeah. And this was called a step-up book, and it was done by Random House. And it's a very nicely illustrated. We can, if you want to go to here it begins. Abraham Lincoln has been dead for 100 years. So right from the start, it's not going to be a laugh riot for kids. But so it's a pretty serious book. But it's a really serious topic. And it changed the country. And when you look at where we're at now, and yes, he was a Republican, although we really don't know how he would stand on many of today's topics. It's hard to say. It's just hard to say. Other than the fact that, and I thought this was interesting, when he was 17, he went down a raft on the Ohio River, and he went to New Orleans. First time he ever been in a big city, and he saw a slave market where people were actually being auctioned off. And because he was from a non-slave state, he'd never seen that before. Right then, it was like, this is wrong. And it changed his life. And, you know, in the end, it would change the course of the country. You want to go to another photo? This is just what a troubled life he had in deciding what's the right thing to do with bringing the country back. Yeah, you had a question?
Such neat illustrations too.
They're good. Yeah, they're really good. Everything's simple, but they're smart. And then they address, if you want to pull this up, the actual assassination. So that night they went to a theater to see a play. It was a funny play. Mr. Lincoln laughed a lot. He was having a good time. Suddenly there was a shot. At first, the people in the theater thought it was part of the play, but it was not. President Lincoln had been shot by a man who loved the Confederacy. Okay. Is this relevant? Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, not to be a downer, but it's just about, you know, how important, even in this is just a children's book, and how accurate it is, and it's telling a very complicated life and the history of our country in a very simple way.
Wow, we need more of that.
Yes. All right,
And
we'll
next-
go on to the next one, which is really fun. This is Little Moo and the Circus. So no, this is not a book about if you're lactose intolerant. It has nothing to do with that. This was in 1945. You're going to love this because the graphics are spectacular. And it tells, of course, the fictional story of a little calf that runs off to join the circus. So we've all had these stories where kids are running off to join the circus. Why don't we show the next graphic? Look at these. Look at this. It's just, every page is just wonderful. So here he is with his mom and dad, and then we can go. And then he decides to run away to join the circus. And you're thinking, well, this is going to be a great adventure. Although, that's not exactly how things work out in life, apparently. So this is why I collect these things, because invariably in children's books about the circus, there are always the sideshow. So you can see in the back, I don't have a half man, half woman, but I probably have a dozen books that always represent strong men. And this guy looks pretty hot. And half men and half women. And I always think that's interesting because it's kind of introducing to children gender. And this is 1945. This book was introduced, and okay, it's in a sideshow, but it's making kids look at things. If I'm different, is it okay that I'm different? Yeah, that's what you're going to end up in a sideshow. Not the point. but you're going to go on to the next one, and of course, we just follow his adventures. That the lion doesn't eat him, so like that's a good day. It's always a good day when the lion doesn't get to you. And then the seal pushes him down a slide. Not exactly sure what that's about. Basically, it's all his misadventures. But then it finally ends that he's adopted by two gay clowns, which I thought was really quite endearing. So they're not allowed to have children, but you can have half.
How do you know they're gay clowns?
Oh, please. Just look at those. They're color coordinated. How about that?
All right.
How about that?
Very good. So, do you have a wide selection of children's books at your store?
I do, and I do in my store. But again, these are from my personal collection. You can just go down the rabbit hole with kids' books in terms of different. If you want to do just the classics or fiction or things like this, I tend to like circus related stories because they always verge on just being just a little offensive or a bit like, oh, they went there. So I always find that endearing, and I wanted to share this with you today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I consider you our sideshow.
Well, it's going to cost you $0.25 for the blow off.
All right, then. Thank you, Duane Scott Cerny. We'll see you the next time when you're up in my attic.
What's in your attic?
Thanks, Duane. Hey, while you're up in my attic, could you bring down my winter clothes, please? Thank you. All right, and who else do we have to hear from tonight? Rocco Zamboni.
Hey, it's me, Rocco. How you guys doing? Anyway, I'm outside in this beautiful crisp air. Leaves are falling. They're turning colors and stuff, and then they're dying. It's beautiful. So I'm taking in my Halloween decorations like this guy. I don't know his name. I don't care. He's dead. But he lights up, so it's cool. So the fact is, this daylight savings time stuff. Yeah, I know. Once again, twice a year we talk about it. We bitch and moan. I'm bitching and moaning about it right now. You got a problem with that? Shut up. So, I don't know what day it is. I have no clue. I woke up this morning. I said, what time is it? And then I was like, what day is it? This is really throwing me off. I don't know if you guys go through this, but twice a year, it takes me about a month to figure out what time of year it is. I know it's somewhere in autumn because of the leaves and shit, but I don't know what day, what month. It's apparently after Halloween because this guy's going in the basement. I'm kind of freaking out. Somebody said something about voting. So maybe we're before Election Day. If so, vote blue, you son of a bitch. And daylight savings time is crazy. It's like, whose idea was this shit? Some farmers? Jesus Christ, wake up an hour earlier or something. I don't give a shit about your soybeans or your pig butts and stuff. You guys are absolutely freaking nuts. See, I'm not making any sense right now because I don't know what day it is, what time it is, what time of year it is. So I'm gonna go pour a bowl of soup, eat some blueberries. I don't know. This is all bizarre to me. Apparently, I had to say something tonight, so we had new content, and this is it. This is what I got. You guys don't like it? Say, I don't give a shit. I've been going crazy lately. Crazy. All right? I don't even know where to look on this camera thing. I'm done. I'm done. I'll see you next week, bastards.
Thank you for watching tonight's show. We have a lot of fun bringing it to you each week. You know, this week I found out a dear friend of mine, Dean, experienced a stroke. Now, I've known Dean and his loving partner and husband, Neil, for over 10 years. We met at Winter Rendezvous. Dean is a skier and an Ironman competitor, but you just never know. Please keep this great couple in your thoughts. Until next week, here's Boog and Shug.
Bug, who are you voting for this year?
We can't vote, Shug. We're too young.
Oh, that's right. We are counting on our parents to get out and vote.
Do the right thing, people. Get out there and vote out the Republican regime.
Election fraud, my ass. Vote, people. Let's show them the power of blue.
November 8th. Vote blue.
If you don't vote, we will send Rocco and Rusty over to find out why you didn't vote.
And they mean business.